proven that we can change the outcome of things with our mind power. Psychokinesis, PK, or as we also call it, telekinesis, has been a topic of interest for many people, both from scientific backgrounds and people who have been involved in other psychic activities for many years. But it wasn't until the 1800s that people started to research it thoroughly. Psychic mediums began to become extremely popular in the 19th century, and their claims of communicating with spirits from the other world created a big wave of interest. These psychics were also able to witness the movement of objects without any physical power, with just the mind power alone. This is when the genuine interest of in telekinesis begun. Today, as much as we have improved scientifically, we still have millions of unanswered questions. Telekinesis or psychokinesis is one of them. However, this does not disprove its existence. Saying this, if we apply our knowledge of telekinesis and our proof of its existence to the current scientific theories, we will come back empty-handed. Because telekinesis can't be explained by our current theories of science. That's why it's crucially important to keep an open mind when you first start to experiment with telekinesis or other psychic practices. Just because something doesn't fit the way we develop a scientific theory doesn't disqualify it as false or hoax. Remember, we only use the 10% of our brains. One thing science makes it clear beyond any reasonable doubt is that we know now the limitations of our cognitive powers, but we also know that we have the capacity to unlock the limitations of our cognitive powers. For example, in order to understand quantum physics and all those different dimensions that the naked eye can't perceive, you need to develop a different frame of thought by developing your scientific knowledge. This means that in order to understand certain laws of physics, you need to have the proper education for it, so your brain can bend in ways that the ordinary man's brain won't be able to. When we talk about the practice of psychic abilities like psychokinesis, we refer to the regular practice of these abilities so that we can develop and build our frame around its mechanism. There are two different thoughts when it comes to the scientific explanation of telekinesis. One thought claims that the practice of telekinesis creates a certain electromagnetic field with acoustic signals. These signals occur extremely fast in a 0.1 to 0.01 seconds. The other thought is that psychokinesis occurs as a result of a thought manipulation, which requires mental effort. Nevertheless, it is a rare phenomenon, and this makes it hard to research. Everything around us is made of atoms. We are made of atoms. The objects we interact with are made of atoms. In our essence, we are all made of the same things. This is the first thing to keep in mind before practicing telekinesis. It is an important detail because, going back to the ever-famous bending spoon example, in our very core, we are all made from the same things. We are aware today that the science successfully proved that matter can transform into energy, and that energy can transform into matter. Granted, that's very hard to do, and it's very hard to do, and to do it actually safely, not volatile. Anyway, when we apply force on metal, we can transform it into energy. When you know what each object is made of, meaning the specific arrangement of the atoms, or etc., you can manipulate its form. This is no magic. It's everyday science that has been in practice for decades. The exact same principle applies to all psychic powers. Sometimes this change takes place between the two people through their brains, and we call it telepathy. Or sometimes between a person and an object, and we call it telekinesis. Many people would love to have psychokinesis, PK abilities. And many people see this as a secret society club into which you'll be accepted if you have the specific requirements. The reason why we are under this influence is, well, that this is an inaccessible domain is because of two reasons. The first is that many think that only a few people are gifted with psychic abilities, and the second is that many don't practice hard enough, thinking they will never be able to succeed. You do have these abilities inside you. You were born already equipped with them. Everyone has them. Everyone can learn how to improve them. Isn't that good news? But it's indeed true. We have many abilities that are dormant. We just need to know the ways to activate them. It is both simple and complicated at the same time. It is simple because you know how that, you know that you have this ability and you can learn to develop it. It is complicated because, like every talent, it needs practice, and even more practice. My personal motto is practice makes awesome. Anyway, with evolution in the future, these abilities can become a second nature to mankind, and they can be performed on demand. But for now, the current experiments show that people who are capable of performing these tasks rarely do it on demand. They come in spurts, and sometimes they go. And that has definitely been my case. I can't really do it on demand, but I can do it. That's why practice makes awesome. Enough practice, enough time with it, and enough basically if you do it long enough, like any skill, you get better and better at it, and the results they add up. And anyway, let's see here. I'm reading, guys. Let's see here. With evolution in the future, these abilities can become a second nature to mankind, and they can be performed on demand. But for now, the current experiments show that people who are capable of performing these tasks really do it on demand. They come in spurts, and sometimes they go. the most important thing is concentration. We will talk about this later in the book, where we explain when we explain the Tritaka method, or Tritaka meditation. Sorry. With practice, we will learn how to concentrate for a lengthier period of time and deeper. The longer and the deeper our concentration gets, the easier it will be for us to perform these tasks. I will say this though. That's mostly true for the beginning. Once you can actually once you can spin a psi wheel, for example, and you've done it for anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks after you can actually spin it. During that time, it's actually so much easier. It actually, you don't have to concentrate so much onto it. It actually kind of happens almost by itself. At least in my experience. I just look at the psi wheel and look somewhat past it, but focusing on it at the same time, and you feel this feeling in the back of your head, as well as on your palm a bit too, and it's kind of like a tingly sensation right in the center, and it just spins around, and then you kind of focus on what exactly, what kind of feelings you're feeling in your mind when you're doing it, and that's really that's how I've learned to control it. Is that you focus on different feelings in your mind, kind of like you're focusing on different frequencies, brain frequencies, and with manipulation of it, of that the frequencies, you can get it to stop moving, to spin clockwise or counterclockwise. You can get it to levitate, and of course you can also get it to slide. And yeah, so this is really cool. Anyway, Eeny, miny, miny, mo, where the hell did I go? And we will talk about with practice, we will learn how to concentrate for lengthier periods of time and deeper. The longer and deeper a concentration gets, the easier it will be for us to perform these tasks. An average human brain can't concentrate on topic for more than just a few minutes. That is, if he's lucky. But with meditation and regular practice, we are able to extend the time limit. Another thing which is as essential as the concentration is patience. We have to understand that without patience and perseverance, we won't be able to go much further. A lot of people give up without even trying as hard as they need to. Just because these abilities sound magical to the ear, it doesn't mean that we will magically be able to perform them with just a couple of tries. If we keep in mind that sometimes it might take weeks or months, or sometimes it can take years to bring it to the surface. So please don't get discouraged, and most importantly, don't